Alrighty. What's good, Knick fans? How we doing? How's it going tonight? Anyway, it has been quite a while since I've live streamed. Everything is cool. I just have had a lack of motivation lately in schools and stuff like that, so haven't been live streaming, but that's besides the point. I'm back. Tonight I'm doing a pregame. I'm not doing a postgame tonight. 10 p.m. game. That's not something I'm going to live stream postgame for. I got school tomorrow. So anyway, let's get right into it. No chit chat. We're playing the Warriors tonight. The Warriors are a legitimate team. In one of our games back, or I'm sorry, one of our post games in the preseason, probably a few months ago now, or just like a month or two ago, me and Zach had discussed our Western Conference playoff predictions. And I know I had the Warriors slipping in there with their new roster. And I definitely did not have the Knicks slipping in there. So I'm not 100% convinced whether or not we are going to be making the playoffs this year or whether we're going to be beating the Warriors. But let's kind of get into the analysis here. Let's talk players. So the obvious player that we need to talk about is Steph Curry. If you want to look at his few past performances, they blew out the Spurs. But I did watch that close game versus the Lakers, or at least most of it, and I've kept up with every Knicks game so far. But that's not the point. Dude had 26 and 7 and a bunch of clutch shots. Now, the New York Knicks have the number one defense in the NBA right now, according to the statistics. I know we're number one in, I don't even know, but we might be number one in rebounding as well. I'm not sure. But what I will say is that we have a lot of things going for us tonight, okay? We got our defense for one. Kelly Oubre has been an absolute brick, and I think the thing we struggle with the most is the three-point shooting defense. We got Mitchell Robinson, okay? The dude can block any type of shot, but we know that he blocks more shots in the paint than he does three-point shots, let's be honest here. Got Nerlens Noel. He's not super mobile. He's more of a paint guy. Big presence on defense in the paint. And we're talking about a Warriors team that is not nearly as good as they used to be when it comes to shooting. Now, the only thing I worry about is the Elfrid Payton-Steph Curry matchup, because I'm pretty convinced, although I'm not seeing anything coming from Ian Bagley right now, as I'll refresh, we're probably going to be sticking with the same starting lineup tonight. Now, that doesn't surprise me, and it also doesn't anger me in any sort of way. We got probably a starting lineup of something that looks along the lines of, Elfrid Payton, RJ, Reggie, and Julius and Mitch, right? That's probably going to be the starting lineup tonight. But obviously I have optimism and hope that once Quickly gets a few more games under his belt, once he proves that he can be consistent, that he's not an injury issue, because, he had that hip injury versus Miles Turner, then maybe he'll be starting. And if we can get him to start, that'd be a big deal. But the defense at the point guard spot is not super strong. Obviously we have some issues when it comes to that. But what I will say is that we have Alec Burks back tonight. As you can see, I retweeted it on our Twitter, Knicks, Clicks Knicks4, but you'll see us advertise as Knicks4Clicks. We just couldn't get the name. Anyway, Alec Burks back tonight. He's been out for quite a long time. I think somewhere upwards of, I feel like it's been at least 8 games now, 7 or 8 games. And I know for a fact that he was a big deal for us when it came to offense. The dude's a total sniper. He was a big deal for the Sixers last year in their run. Although, Ben Simmons got hurt in the playoffs. And that team could have gone somewhere if injuries hadn't stopped them. But now we got him. So Alec Burks will be back tonight. Obviously, Austin Rivers is out tonight. Well, not obviously, but Austin Rivers is out tonight. Which is kind of a shame. I was really hoping for him to be able to play tonight because he's a big spot on our team, a big guy. But I want to go a little off topic because I am looking through this whole Ian Bagley Twitter thing, just seeing if I've missed anything. But I never responded to the James Harden trade. Now, obviously, it's old news now. We've seen the whole Big Three play versus Cleveland the other night, as I did watch that game as well. But, I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers won that trade by a mile. And that's not to say that the Nets made a bad trade whatsoever. It's just they gave up their whole future. And the Cavs just snagged Jared Allen for free pretty much. So the Cavs win that trade. But then again, that's not the point. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Knicks pregame. If y'all are enjoying, please be interactive in the chat. I'll answer your questions. I'll respond to your opinions. It's just been a while since I've been live streaming. This is more of a hobby for me. It's no job or profession or anything. So I have fun talking to you guys. But let's see. Let's get more into the individual players as I was mentioning. So if we're going to talk about lineups, we're going to see a lot of Andrew Wiggins and RJ Barrett kind of going back and forth. Now, I think it's fair to say that RJ Barrett and Andrew Wiggins do draw a lot of comparisons. Andrew Wiggins has not been notoriously known for his shooting, let's be honest here. He's more of an athletic finishing type of player. So that's going to be a really fun matchup to watch tonight, I think, in particular. But a guy who I wanted in the draft, but obviously it was far-fetched to get him, James Wiseman. I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays tonight versus Mr. Robinson, because I think one of the trade talks on draft night, and it was just talks, nothing ever really happens, but was Mitchell Robinson and our first-round pick plus something else for the second overall pick. And that was kind of either the intention to draft LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, but I think it was meant for James Wiseman if you're going to give it Mitchell Robinson. So, the Knicks might have wanted James Wiseman on their team. So I definitely do find it interesting that we're going to be playing him tonight. He's been a very nice young prospect so far. Draymond Green, in my opinion, okay, hate on me if you wish, he's washed. Okay, he's not nearly as good as he used to be. He put up some stats versus the Lakers, which is big time. Put up 7, 9, and 8. But I don't know if he'll put that up against the Knicks. I feel like he's a really inconsistent guy at this point in his career, defensively and offensively. But I know he's been a great mentor to James Wiseman. I respect that. But then Kelly Oubre, like I mentioned, he has had some good games, some really bad games, and some fairly average games. But I'd say that overall it's been kind of a shooting disaster for him. And I have very high hopes for Kelly Oubre. I was a little disappointed when I looked at the percentages. The dude's got like a 10% three-pointer. I mean, not now, but he had a 10% three-pointer, and that was shocking to me. But if we leave that dude open, I think we have a good chance at winning. Disrespect where disrespect is due, though, because, he has not been playing up to par. Kevon Looney off their bench, just another center. The Warriors don't have a super deep bench. I'd say that Eric Paschall is probably the best guy off their bench. They got guys like Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, but who knows how many minutes these guys are going to play. If this is a close game, we may see Steph Curry playing upwards of 40 minutes. I mean, this Knicks defense is going to give the Warriors a very hard time. I'll guarantee that much. And if we don't give them a hard time, it's either we're beating them pretty badly or it's a total blowout. It's one of the two, in my opinion. Now, if you want to talk a little bit more about the Knicks, which is I'm sure what you guys are here for since you clicked on Knicks pregame, we have a lot of assets. We have a lot of guys. I was very, very happy to see the Celtics win on Sunday. I woke up for that one, and I woke up for the Magic one. I watched both those games. Phenomenal games. I just couldn't get to doing the post-game. I'm sorry about that. Would have been very fun to do it. And it would be fun to do it for the next two nights, which I may consider doing the Kings post-game, considering I think that's tomorrow, so don't have school Saturday. We might make it work, but the Warriors tonight, let's see what we got working for us. We'll look at the Magic game. The Magic game was close. I'll give them that, but we just outdid them. So the Knicks, Julius Randle, that's going to be a very fun matchup versus Draymond Green, if I didn't mention that already. Draymond, I'm not really too high on him anymore in his career. He's making $20 million a year to do really not as much, and that's kind of a shame for him. But if Randle can put up 21 and 17 on the Warriors, which I think he is most definitely capable of based on their roster and how their rebounding isn't super good, I think that we got the win tonight, honestly. Reggie Bullock, he's a guy who's either on or off, and he doesn't have an on and off switch like some of these guys, like Kobe. I'm not putting Reggie Bullock in a Kobe, Kyrie, KD conversation, but those type of guys just turn on the switch when they want to, but I feel like this dude turns off the switch when he wants to. There's no turning it back on, which is kind of a shame. So Reggie Bullock, if you're on tonight, you're on. I don't really believe he should be starting. I think he's a better bench piece. But Tibbs makes the decisions. I just think that Austin Rivers, if he was playing, should be starting. And Emmanuel Quickley should be starting. Or even Kevin Knox. He's been shooting very consistently lately and getting little minutes. Mitchell Robinson, I already mentioned that with the James Wiseman matchup. I think that's going to be really fun to watch tonight. They're two guys that have a lot of similarities, but I would say James Wiseman bests him in the three-point category, which may make it tough for us tonight if James Wiseman's pulling up a ton of shots in the perimeter. But at the end of the day, Mitchell Robinson, the blockness monster, I think he's got a real good shot versus James Wiseman. RJ Barrett, Obviously, in that Magic game, put up 22, 10, and 4. The dude's been averaging, and hopefully my memory kicks in correctly, I think it's about 20.3 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and like 1.5, 2 steals or something like that the past 4 games. So this is the consistency we're starting to see from RJ Barrett. Now, don't expect this throughout the entire season. He is only a 20-year-old kid, and I've been harsh on him in the past. It's just because I have high expectations for him, and I have, a lot of belief that he'll be a good player at some point in his career. But he's really living up to the hype right now, and if he can keep doing this, we're going to be winning more games. Because if we're going to see a 5 for 20 shooting night or a 3 for 15 like we usually see, not usually, but what we see from RJ Barrett when he's inconsistent, we're going to have a really tough night. But if he can best Andrew Wiggins, which I feel like any player in the league can do as long as Andrew Wiggins contains himself, we can win this game. Elfrid Payton on Steph Curry, that's really not much of a competition for Steph. We're just going to have to hope that, because they come off the pick and rolls with Kelly Oubre Holton, so we're going to see a lot of RJ Barrett switches onto Steph Curry, or we potentially may see a Mitchell Robinson switch onto Steph Curry, and that would be a little dangerous for us. Steph might just toy with them on the perimeter, or maybe a Kevin Love situation almost in that 2016 finals where that switch was happening a lot, and then they switched on him permanently, but that's not the point, because Mitchell Robinson, as much of a good defender as he is, can he stay on Steph Curry? That's a legitimate question, because I know for a fact that Mitchell Robinson is one of the best defenders in this league, but I know that some of the best defenders in this league can't stay with Steph Curry, so it's going to be a tough game for him tonight. Obviously, Austin Rivers, we're not having him tonight. Alec Burks, who actually, there's a good chance he may be in the starting lineup, considering how well he was pre-injury and potentially how he's been doing in practice. Because, that could be interchangeable with him and Reggie, but at the same time, regardless of who starts, it's going to be a good matchup. I think Reggie and Alec provide a lot of the same stuff, but Alec has been a lot more consistent with it so far this season. If you want to talk about Immanuel quickly, I have nothing but good things to say about him. His defense is okay. Obviously not the biggest guy in the court, at all. So him on Steph Curry would be interesting. 2 3-point snipers, one young, one old. Not old. More of like a past prime age. You know what I mean? But it'd be really fun to see Immanuel quickly play Steph Curry tonight because of how comparable they are. But Immanuel quickly, he's been very consistent offensively. I feel like when he's on the floor, we just kind of flow. It feels right. But when Elfrid's on the floor, I feel like it's more of an iso ball situation. Like, we're not playing hero ball here. Sorry about that. We're playing more of a game. It's a passing game, okay? If RJ's open in the corner, you don't go up for a contested shot. You go up, you pass. It's that simple. Anyway, hopefully we'll see more Obi tonight. I have to mention that later, but I'll get to Nerlens Noel and Kev first before I talk about Obi because there's a lot to say about him. Nerlens Noel, I already mentioned earlier, it's going to be an interesting matchup. When Mitch is on the bench and Curry's in the game, because I feel like it'll inevitably happen, and I'll watch this back, and I almost guarantee you I'll be right, that pick and roll is going to be really tough to guard because we're going to have probably James Wiseman or Kevon Looney or Eric Pascal or whoever sets a screen for Steph Curry. I'm going to assume Nerlens is probably going to be switching on, and that is if we can't get over or under the screens. And if we go over, Steph shoots. If we go under, we get stuck and we have a switch. So we have a tough situation on those pick and rolls. And I know we're not notorious for our pick and roll defense, but transition defense is going to be a big deal tonight. Hopefully Nerlens Noel can keep up with that. We're more of like a 7 seconds type of team on the defensive end, so that's going to be interesting. But Kevin Knox will honestly probably get a good amount of minutes tonight. That's my bet anyway. I could see him playing kind of that Austin Rivers role, although, what's his name is back? Alec Burks. It's definitely going to be a really interesting lineup change with Alec Burks sliding in somewhere. So we'll see. Kevin Knox may get minutes or he may not get minutes. It feels like almost a 50-50 thing. Now, Obi Toppin, I'm really disappointed with how the Knicks have been orienting him into the offense. I feel like the only thing that we're really having him do is be a lob threat, but he can shoot, okay? I've seen that shot. It goes down. But the one thing he needs to fix is that arc. I mean, it's like a rainbow shot. Like it's a Hail Mary every time. And that's going to be really easy to guard if you know what's going to happen, right? Got guys like Mitchell Robinson who can read those types of shots who are going to block them. But that's not the point because Obi's not really a primary shooter. We just need to get him the ball more. he needs to have more post-up situations. And throughout the season, he's still a really young kid. He's got to add on some muscle because there's definitely issues with him backing players down because he's not really as strong as some of them yet. It's showing. But 2 points in 9 minutes is really not his fault. He had that one lob from Quickly, I believe, and he's still coming off of an injury. He's probably on a minutes restriction, and there's not a lot of space to slide him in, but Julius Randle playing as well. So at some point in the near future, I'm hoping Obi can maybe slide into a 6-man role / a starter spot. It just really depends on how Thibodeau sees him in practice. But you know what? I think that wraps it up. I'm sorry it's only about a 16-minute stream by the time I end this. I didn't anticipate it to be very long, but I do hope that you guys really do enjoy the Knicks game tonight. It's a late game. We're going to have another late game versus the Kings tomorrow, which I may do a post game for. It's whether or not I'm feeling it, obviously. But as I said, I hope you enjoyed. I know I enjoyed it, and hopefully we may even have Zach on tomorrow, who I didn't really extend an invite to tonight, so it's not his fault he didn't get on. But I just want to do a quick pregame, get it out of the way, and go enjoy my Knicks game. If you have any questions in the chat, feel free to ask them now, or you will forever hold your peace. I am going to get off. I'm going to finish some civics homework, and I hope you enjoyed the live stream tonight. I know I did, and have a blessed